Welcome to two-factor authentication, or otherwise known as two-step verification. I'm Dane Deutsch, and I'll be your coach during this couple of minutes where I'm helping you understand what two-factor authentication and two-step verification really is. First of all, I just want to mention that this is all about risk management when it comes to security on the internet. If we can reduce risk, we can increase security. So the goal here is, if we can add enough security into our system, not so much that it's overwhelming, but just enough that the bad guys are maybe frustrated or it's harder than they thought it would be to break into your system, they'll give up and go away and look for an easier target. Okay? So the goal here is to be able to manage our risk. We need to add this two-factor authentication to increase that security. That's the most important piece. So in order to do that, there are three factors that we can consider that will allow us to be able to increase that security. The first one is something you know. Now, most of us are pretty aware of this because we use login names, passwords, we use PIN numbers, right? We've even been asked about the maiden name of our mom, right? Mom's maiden name, or the street you lived on, or the first car you drove. Those are all something. So that's just one factor. Even though you might type in your login name and your password, two things, it's still something in your mind, okay? So that's still only one factor. To really be able to have increased security, you need two of three factors at least, okay? The second factor is something we have. Now, all of us know that we carry credit cards, or most of us carry smartphones, right? These are things that we can physically grab onto and have in our possession. There's even devices out there. One of them is called YubiKey, that you can plug into your computer, touch it with your fingerprint, and that YubiKey is a physical piece that could hang on your keychain, for instance. And when you need it, you just plug it into your computer. So that's something I have. So let's just test this for a second. If we were going to log into Facebook, we would, most of the time would type in our login name and our password, which is something we know. And then if we have two-factor, we'll go to something we call an authenticator. Those authenticators come from many different companies like Microsoft or Google or LastPass. Most of the password managers have an authenticator that you can authenticate with. So if you download the Google Authenticator from Google Play Store, okay, on an Apple iPhone or on a Google Android, you'll actually be able to set it so that you can have a 6-digit code that changes every so many seconds. So if you have a physical smartphone, you have your second factor. And you just look at that authenticator and you type in those 6-digit codes for that particular application. So you'd use a 6-digit code for every single application that you might have, okay? So that's really important. The third factor that we oftentimes refer to is something you are. And most of us are becoming more aware of this all the time because we're asked to put our fingerprint on something, or we might be actually asked to show our face to a screen to let us in, like Facebook, or maybe it's a voice, or maybe it's our eyes, like your iris, okay? Any of those will allow you to be able to log into something. So for instance, I might have my smartphone trying to log into Facebook. So let's just erase these other two check marks here, okay? I might have my smartphone, so that would be one factor, and I use facial recognition to log into Facebook, and that's my second factor. Now, if you use your login name and password, as well as your smartphone and your facial recognition, you now have 3 factors, which is the best security you can have. Again, remember, nothing is 100% secure. So in this particular instance, I go by what I call the Houdini concept. And most of us are pretty familiar with Houdini, right? He was a great magician. And he believed that there wasn't a lock in the world that if it was built by a human, couldn't be broken into by a human. And I go by the same concept here with our internet security. Everything technology-wise was built by a human. So nothing is 100% secure. And the goal is to manage your risk so you can minimize your risk and maximize your security. Remember, you don't have to have perfect security. Nothing is going to be 100% secure. But if you just add an extra layer of security, like something you have or something you are to something, now you have a hurdle or an extra element that the bad guys are going to have to actually jump over or get through in order to be able to compromise you, right? And put you at risk. So they'll just go away and look for an easier target, most likely. Okay? So remember, you don't have to be 100% secure. And yes, there is some effort to learning and understanding how to work with two-factor authentication, but it's not that difficult. It's like anything. If we get in the habit and we stay in the habit, we will soon learn that's just an easy, quick, oh, we just do this and that's normal. And you won't fight against it or keep putting it off to be able to actually install it. This should actually be installed on any of your applications like Facebook or Instagram or Amazon or any of your email services like Gmail or Apple, right? Your Google services. Your bank accounts should have some type of two-factor on them, and so forth and so on, right? So in this particular instance, you may not have an authenticator, but they'll send you a text message. It's still going to come to your smartphone. So you'll still have that something you have for your second factor, even if it's a text message, all right? They'll send you a text, and that will give you that extra layer of protection as well. It's not as secure as Authenticator, but it's better than nothing. So get secure, stay secure. The key is every single person is a link in the cybersecurity chain. And if we want a secure chain, one that's very strong, it's only going to be as strong as our weakest link. In summing this up, don't you be the weakest link in that cybersecurity chain. Make sure you get your two-factor installed in all the applications that you have, and you'll sleep better at night knowing you're making the bad guys have a headache, and they'll go away and look for a different target. Stay secure, my friend. We'll see you next time. Tricon.